This investigative story blends true elements of Scarborough's history with local myths and legends. The disappearance of Billy Harrison and the folklore surrounding the Bluffs and Galloway Road are drawn from real incidents and long-standing tales, but much of the mystery remains unresolved, leaving room for speculation and curiosity. While I can start the process with an engaging introduction, complete with characters, facts, and myth, this will serve as an initial framework. This video will focus on key incidents, historical context, and mythical elements, while maintaining a blend of creative journalism. The disappearance of William Harrison. It was a cold November evening when the phone rang at the Harrison family home in Scarborough, Ontario. It had been nearly 48 hours since William Billy Harrison, a local fisherman, had set off on his routine fishing trip to the Lake Ontario shore beneath the Scarborough Bluffs. No one had heard from him, and his absence was becoming unsettling. Billy Harrison was known in Scarborough as the man who could read the water better than anyone. For 63 years, he had fished the cold, deep waters of Lake Ontario, and over the years, had become a fixture in the local community. His jovial presence at the local diner, his stories of the old fishing days, and his detailed knowledge of the Bluffs had made him a local legend. He was a man of habit, always returning home after his fishing trips at dusk to share tales of the lake's strange beauty. But this time, there were no stories to tell. Instead, there was only silence. The last time anyone had seen him was when he waved goodbye to his wife, Ruth, at the kitchen door. "I'll be back by supper," he'd called, heading toward his trusty boat dock near the Bluffs. That was the last time anyone saw Billy Harrison alive. Part 2, the search effort. The following morning, Ruth Harrison made the phone call that would start an extensive search operation. By the time the local authorities had been notified, the community of Scarborough was already on high alert. The police quickly mobilized a team, and soon a large search party, including members of the Canadian Coast Guard, scoured the lake and the Bluffs for any sign of Billy. They found his boat, but it was upside down near the shore. There was no sign of a struggle, no evidence of foul play, and the storm that had rolled in the night before had subsided. Still, there was no Billy Harrison. As the search continued, strange things began to happen. Local residents, who had come to help, reported strange sensations while walking along the shoreline. One woman, an elderly widow named Margaret, claimed she felt a cold, unsettling presence near the very spot where Harrison's boat had been found. "I swear, it was like something was pulling at me," she later said. "It was as if the lake itself didn't want us there." This unsettling encounter was just the beginning. Over the course of the next few days, rumors began to swirl in Scarborough. Some believed that the Scarborough Bluffs themselves held the key to Billy Harrison's disappearance. Was it simply an accident? Or was there something more at play? Part 3, the myth of the whispering spirits. Local folklore has long connected the Scarborough Bluffs with mysterious forces, particularly in times of disaster. The Bluffs, towering above Lake Ontario, have been a source of both beauty and danger for centuries. Early European settlers, the French in particular, told stories of strange happenings around the Bluffs, with some believing the cliffs were cursed by the spirits of indigenous peoples who had once called this land home. The most enduring myth of all is the story of the whispering spirits. It is said that the spirits of those who had died at the hands of misfortune or violence near the Bluffs would call out, trying to warn or lure others into the same fate. These spirits were said to be visible only during times of heavy fog, often near the shore. Whether it was the ghosts of drowned fishermen, victims of shipwrecks, or long-forgotten settlers, the Bluffs were said to be a place of spiritual unrest. In the case of Billy Harrison's disappearance, the legends of the Bluffs began to resurface. Some of the locals suggested that perhaps the spirits had claimed another soul. But the police, while still baffled by the lack of evidence, dismissed these ideas as mere superstition. They continued their search, which lasted a full week, but no body was ever found. Galloway Road and the haunted house. The connection between Billy's disappearance and the Galloway Road Haunted House was not immediately apparent, but as the weeks went on, the rumors started to merge. Located just a few miles from the Bluffs, the old house on Galloway Road had long been the subject of eerie stories. People who had passed by the decaying building late at night spoke of strange lights flickering in the windows and soft whispers drifting on the wind. But the most unnerving part of the legend was its history. According to local legend, the house had once been home to a family of settlers who mysteriously vanished in the late 1800s. The story goes that one cold winter night, the family disappeared without a trace. Some say they were taken by the lake, others claim they were victims of foul play. But most people in Scarborough believed the house was haunted by their spirits. One night, a group of local teenagers dared each other to explore the house, but they never returned. When they were found days later, they spoke of feeling as though they were being watched, followed by the overwhelming sensation that something was pulling them toward the house. One of the teens later claimed to have heard a voice calling her name from inside the building. The similarities between the stories of the Galloway Road Haunted House and Billy Harrison's disappearance were hard to ignore. The whispers, the strange pull toward the water, and the eerie happenings all seemed to suggest a dark connection between the bluffs, the lake, and the mysterious house on Galloway Road. A mysterious artifact of breakthrough in the case came from an unlikely source. During a routine excavation near the base of the bluffs, a construction crew discovered an old chest, buried deep beneath the ground. The chest, which was locked tight, had weathered years of exposure to the elements but remained surprisingly intact. Inside, they found several ancient artifacts, including a large, ornate compass and a tattered map of the Scarborough shoreline, a map that seemed to suggest an unknown route leading beneath the bluffs. When the police examined the compass, they found something odd. The needle spun erratically when pointed toward the bluffs, as if something in the area was emitting a magnetic force that disrupted the compass's function. Local historians were consulted, and it was revealed that such a compass had been used by early explorers in the 1600s. It was thought that these explorers had been searching for hidden treasure, but no records had ever confirmed the exact location of their final resting place. Some people began to wonder, could the bluffs hold more than just memories of past settlers? Could there be a hidden treasure buried beneath the cliffs? And, more chillingly, could that treasure have been the very thing that Billy Harrison stumbled upon just before his disappearance? Theories and speculation. As the months passed and the mystery of Billy Harrison's disappearance remained unsolved, theories began to multiply. The bluffs were not only a place of danger but also of intrigue, with the possibility that Harrison had unknowingly stumbled upon something far older and far darker than anyone could have anticipated. Some suggested that the treasure hunters of old had hidden their loot near the bluffs, perhaps even in the caverns beneath the cliffs, and that Harrison's fate was sealed when he came too close to discovering it. Others believed that the whispering spirits had lured him into the water, claiming him as yet another victim. Still others thought it was something more mundane, an unfortunate accident. But in a town like Scarborough, where the line between history and myth often blurs, the questions outnumbered the answers. The unanswered questions: Billy Harrison's body was never recovered, and the mystery of his disappearance remains unsolved to this day. The Scarborough Bluffs still rise above Lake Ontario, their jagged peaks and winding trails as beautiful as they are treacherous. The myths of the whispering spirits continue to haunt those who dare to venture too close to the water's edge. And the Galloway Road Haunted House, though no longer a popular haunt for thrill-seekers, still stands in decay, a silent witness to the strange events of Scarborough's past. What happened to Billy Harrison on that fateful November evening? Was it an accident? A murder? Or was there something far more sinister at play, something hidden beneath the bluffs, waiting to be discovered? The mystery remains. And, perhaps, that's the way it was meant to be.